Last year's flu season was reportedly the deadliest in 40 years. In an interview with the Associated Press Tuesday, the director of the CDC said an estimated 80,000 Americans died of the flu and complications related to it last winter. Officials also say the death toll is preliminary and may go up. In recent flu seasons, flu-related deaths have ranged from about 12,000 to about 56,000. Last year's vaccine was about 40% effective, which is on the low side for the vaccination.
Last year, a record number of people in the United States died of the flu. The CDC reports that 80,000 people died. Like I said, that's a record. It's the highest number since the CDC began tracking flu deaths in 1976. The previous record was 56,000 in 2012 to 13. Last year was way worse by a high margin. There were a record number of hospitalizations at around 900,000. The previous record was 710,000 in 2014 to 15. There were 180 child flu deaths, the highest since the H1N1 flu epidemic of 2009. It's the highest number of child flu deaths in any regular season. 80% of the children who died from the flu last year were unvaccinated. Speaking of which, vaccinate your kids. Yes, last year's vaccine wasn't matched as well as many other years have been, and sometimes that happens, but every bit helps, and not vaccinating means you get no protection instead of suboptimal protection. I mean, 80,000 people died. Do you remember how much the country lost its mind about Ebola a few years ago? You know how many people caught the disease and died in the United States? None! And we were going crazy. 80,000 people. Imagine if we covered the news on influenza like we did things like Ebola. Imagine if we tallied up the deaths every day, told you about the kids who died, profiled them in the news. Would that make a difference? Because right now we're pretty much sweeping 80,000 deaths under the rug. I cannot tell you how many tweets I see from supposed experts minimizing the flu. Proper hand washing is the first and best line of defense. Not going out in the world when sick will help too, but for the good of others, as well as yourself, herd immunity is also a really, really, really good thing. And the only way to get that is with immunization.
In the 2017 to 2018 flu season that broke all kinds of records, normally between 54,000 people a year die in the U.S. from the flu. By the way, are you okay with that? You know what that means? That means conventional medical doctors are piss poor at being able to treat the flu.